Hi, our guest today is Rick Villani, who's the town administrator for Milford. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you for having me.
And how are you doing today?
Doing very well, thanks.
How long have you been in your job?
It'd be a year and a half, no, I'm sorry, a year and 5 months next week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That long?
Seems longer, but yeah.
And you got thrown right into the, let's see, I think you were there for about a month, and you got thrown into the casino debate.
Almost right away, yes. Although I found it very interesting, very challenging, and I liked the fact that it was something that nobody else had to deal with before, so there was no roadmap for me. So I found that actually quite enjoyable, believe it or not.
Okay. Has that been the biggest challenge since you took the job?
I didn't find that the biggest challenge, to be very
Really?
honest
What
with
is the
you.
biggest?
Right now, specifically, I think building an IT department is one of the challenges I am finding to be a slow, difficult process. And then the other, on a more general, is that just dealing with the many different issues each day. I mean, there's no planned day. I was used to coming from an arena where I could plan my day accordingly, and that just doesn't happen in this position.
Now, do you find that your background in the law has helped you, in the job you have?
I think it has very much so. Dealing with, for example, department heads, dealing with other town administrators. Often I have to deal with state representative's office, state senator's office, and then just reading the number of documents I read in a given week, I think helps me analyze, organize. So I think, yes, very much so.
Okay, now, I like to joke that with after Lou Salazzi retired and you came in, we have a kinder, gentler town hall. You have a different personality than Lou, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Lou had a style all his own. It worked. He was an excellent administrator. I'm very grateful for him to have helped me. I think, Al, you've known me for a number of years.
Yep.
Kevin, you haven't known me as
You're
long.
more quiet, you're more quiet and laid back,
I'm
and
a
he was
very
more
laid-back
excitable. And
person. I like to have my department heads. I like to listen to them. They have the area of expertise. I see myself as a facilitator, an organizer, and then a voice and ears for the Board of Selectmen and hopefully the public.
yeah, that's not meant as a knock on Lou, by the way. It's just
No,
you have a different personality.
not at all.
No, Lou was very good. Lou was
Yeah.
very good,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and I'm sure that he's missed around town. But you picked up the slack,
Well, thank you.
and done an excellent job.
Thank you.
Well, let's go back to the IT department. Do you think we have it right with the third director in 4 or 5 years?
I hope so. I think we do. I'll be honest, it's early. We just hired, as you know, another technician, started yesterday.
Well, the first technician.
The first technician, yes. So I think we'll find that will be very helpful in town hall. I've tried to inform people and tell people we've got a ways to go. This is very early in the process.
Well, I think, it helps if you look at it that you're almost a $90 million corporation. And for anybody out there working in a $90 million corporation would probably be absolutely stunned to find out we have a 2-person IT department for the town and school government.
Correct. Correct.
In my corporate life, the last company I worked for was a $12 million office, and we had 4 full-time people.
Yeah. Wow.
And they were busy all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think it's taking time, and it's going to get there.
It will get there. We will get there. I think we're going to need to work at it. I think there's going to have to be a certain level of patience, but we will get there.
Well, I think with anything, you need a track record from the department, and then once that's there and people see the results, I think it'll get easier to say, now we need a second technician or whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
the hardest part is getting everybody on staff to be comfortable with using a computer.
Yes.
That's probably the hardest part of the
Yes.
whole thing.
Yes.
I mean, the technology is there, and the technology has come a long way, but now you have people working in places that go, oh, this is a computer, and where they really need to be, this is the way I communicate, this is the way we get things done.
I think they know what the computer is. I
Yeah.
think the issue is everybody is so excited to move ahead in their own area that Paul's job is to try to get them to step back a little bit and see how does this fit in a cohesive picture.
Exactly.
You know, you have the building inspector automating his records. You have the tax collector wants to get new software. You have this person wants to do that, and God knows the schools just keep going and going and going.
Yes.
That I think the issue is more, you know, looking at the fact you might have 12 different servers with 12 different expiration dates and different brands of software.
And that's what we're trying to do now. In fact, Town Hall, we're almost there doing that. Now, again, it's a much smaller building, less users, but we have now everyone with the same computer software, new servers.
And talking to each other.
So-
The hardest part
Right.
is integrating all the departments in so
Yeah.
they all communicate
Yeah.
in a format
Yeah.
that they all understand.
Yes.
The planning, you know, planners talk to one thing, the Board of Health talks to a different thing,
Yes.
the Board of Selectmen talk to a different thing,
Yes.
and so they need to all feel comfortable, and they all have to integrate so they understand that how they're talking, you understand, and how you're talking, they understand. And
Yes.
that's the hardest part,
Yeah.
is the integration of everybody into one.
Yeah. And then to do that on a town-wide basis.
Well, it even makes
even makes it much more difficult.
Yeah, and what you'll find is the schools are probably a little bit further ahead
Yes.
than you are, so now the town has to catch up with the schools.
Yeah.
And so it makes it's really kind
And
of.
it's also age of the employee. I think the younger employees, some of the newer people coming in, you know, they grew up with it, whereas if you're above a certain age, it was a challenge.
And for someone like me, yes.
I used to tell people the story. You know, my dad passed away, he was 88, and his only sister, my aunt, was 80, and she was totally into technology, and he couldn't fathom it. I'm going like, wow, 8-year spread.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, my kids and your son Chris have probably, you know, just grown up with it.
Oh, absolutely.
And, you know, I got into it as, you know, when I left newspapers to go to work for Data General back in the late 70s, that's where I got exposed to technology, and you sort of had to use it.
Yeah.
You know, my kids don't believe that I was doing worldwide global email in 1981, but yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Anyway, but what else is going on? I mean, the window project is done. The town hall windows have been refurbished.
Yeah.
That was more complicated.
That was more
Originally,
complicated
the
than I
idea
thought.
was to just take the windows out, replace them with modern triple glazed windows.
Yep. And
But
you'd
what
be done.
happened?
Just did that in my house. It was nice. They came 2 days and they were all done. Here, what happened is the Historical Commission has certain requirements. So we could not do that. So we had to use the same windows and restore.
Restore the
They had to
windows.
go off-site, be renovated and restored, be brought back, reinstalled, and then adjusted. So it took a little longer than anticipated. It was a project of all the ones I've been involved in so far that I was a little more concerned about than the others. But all in all, I think it did go very well. We had Vonnie Reese did a fantastic job, and we hired an architectural firm that also did a nice job on oversight.
So for town hall, we have a new roof. You've got the new granite steps.
Yep.
It was painted.
Yes.
The windows are done.
Yep.
Anything left?
The
The sound system for Upper Town Hall.
sound system for Upper Town Hall, and I think we're going to have to look at new heating and new heating system.
It's hitting
you
its
may see
end of
that
life?
on the fall town meeting schedule. Yeah, past end of
Well,
life.
I know if you're sitting in
Yes.
the selectmen's meeting room, it's either too cold or too hot and
Yes.
never in between.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah. So that's one thing you could see. Yeah.
Well, those things happen. I mean,
Yes.
it's time, it's time to replace it, it's time to replace it.
Yes.
Probably get a more efficient unit anyway.
Yes.
Save a lot of,
Yeah,
the
and there are
cost
some-
savings will probably pay for it over the long run.
Correct. And there are some green programs out there also. Yep.
Okay. There been any surprises in the 16 months you've been on the job? Things you didn't anticipate?
Just didn't anticipate the varied topics that I would be involved in, the various issues, from something as simple to putting in a parking sign to something as complicated as the casino issue, for example. I really did not fully, I think, appreciate the number of different things that I would get involved and the number of people I would see in one day.
Are you surprised at the paperwork involved in things?
I'm very surprised, coming from the private sector, the paperwork here, the procurement process, for example, that you need to follow to do some of these projects.
I love the one of setting a speed limit on a road.
Yes.
Let's tell the audience. The police chief goes out and surveys the speed, and he gets the average speed of 85% of the cars.
Yes.
Then you send that to the state DOT.
Yeah.
and they come back and say, no, you can't make Route 109 30 miles an hour because the average speed is 37. But if you take down the speed limit signs, it defaults to 30.
It defaults to 30.
But you have to go through all those processes to get it
to
there.
get there, and I've had a couple of conversations with the chief about that, wondering if there's not a better way or an easier way to get to that.
Probably not.
Probably not, and I understand that. I understand that there are processes to follow, and
On the state highways.
on the state highways, and almost anything.
Even
we
the
do.
town roads,
And
any town
even-
road.
Yeah, you know, and the other thing you deal with is you're dealing with the local areas of Milford, and obviously each local area thinks that their area needs certain things, and then you need to prioritize. I will say that the chief, Villani, Scott, Larry have done a great job in helping me with those types of decisions.
Okay. What big issues are coming up for the fall town meeting?
I think one would be the GIS system that we want to put in
That's
place.
the graphic information system.
Yes, that we
Okay.
want to put in place. I have, again, the heating system would be one. There'll be some zoning bylaws, but it's still early. I haven't seen a lot of articles yet. I expect to see.
You have to mid-September on that.
Yeah, September 11th or so, I believe. So I expect to see some more submissions. I believe Highway will have one or two things.
They need a match on a generator and a match on those
and they might be looking for money for
culvert grants.
Godfrey Brook, yeah, I believe, and I think a truck too, if I'm not mistaken.
So it's the end of life on some of the truck, on a truck?
I believe that he'll be coming to town hall, yeah.
And do you lease or do you buy?
I believe he buys.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
Well, fortunately, Milford has the cash to go out and do those
Well, that's
things.
good.
Well, that'd be another thing, if we can just continue the strong financial position we're in, and, you know, Milford is one of the better towns. As I've gone to some meetings with town administrators, town managers, I was a little bit surprised to see that some of the difficulties some of the area towns might have from a financial standpoint.
Oh, right.
And you know
Oh,
what I'm
yeah.
talking
But let's also face it, though, the town made a conscious effort to build up those resources, knowing Woodland School was coming, to
Absolutely.
minimize the impact. So over the last 10 years, you've built up the, war chest, for one of a better
Absolutely.
term,
Selectmen
to the
and-
10, 12, 13
Yeah.
million dollar
Selectmen
level.
and
But that's
FinCom
also
should
now
be
going to start
applauded.
coming down
Yep.
to pay those notes
Yep,
off.
yep, they should be applauded. They,
Oh, absolutely.
long-range planning has been, well before I got here, has been excellent. And again, FinCom, Selectmen, the rest of the department should be quite pleased with what they've done.
Do you have any personal priorities for the, at the beginning of a fiscal year? Do you have any personal priorities of what you'd like to see get done in fiscal 15?
I'd just like to see us stay the course as to what we would be doing financially. I would like to see the GIS system be implemented. And right now, that's, again,
That's a fairly significant step, the GIS.
it will be.
That'll be significant, but it'll be very beneficial.
It's be beneficial almost every department.
Absolutely.
In town. So I would like to see that proceed accordingly. Obviously, the Milford Pond project, I'd like to see that finally
That's going to start later this year.
get to completion. I know that Selectman DeBartolome and others have been working on that for
Right.
years.
Long time.
So that would be nice to see to actually come to fruition and see
Well,
the end
maybe this
result.
time a year from now, it'll be done.
It hopefully will be, yes.
Okay. Anything else, Rick?
No, just want to thank you for having me on. I mean, Kevin was one of the first ones when I got the position, invited me out to coffee, even paid.
Oh, he paid?
He paid.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have a talk with him about
And
that.
so I appreciate the reception that the media has given me. I appreciate the support of the department heads I work with and the people I work with. They're excellent. And I'm enjoying the position.
All right, Rick. Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hi, we're back, and our guest is Ann Berard from the group known as Welcoming Milford. Hi, Ann.
Hi, Kevin. Hi, Al.
Tell us about what Welcoming Milford is about.
Well, Welcoming Milford is just celebrating its 3rd anniversary this month. It's part of a national effort initiative called Welcoming America. And then there's a state chapter called Welcoming Massachusetts. And then within Massachusetts, there are several chapters. We are one, Framingham is another, Fitchburg. There is also a chapter in the Berkshires.
Okay.
These particular communities are rich in immigrants,
Okay.
both recent and past.
Okay.
And so what's the goal of this organization?
Well, the goal is it's primarily to educate and to raise awareness of the opportunities that longer-term residents and newer residents, immigrants have to come together, to know one another, and to have conversations and be seen as individuals rather than a them or us, which is really
As you know, immigration is a huge flashpoint in the town of Milford. And there's a perception, rightly or wrongly, that if I see a bunch of people walking down the street, they've got to be illegal.
Yes, it's very true that certain attributes are obvious.
Yes.
Skin color, height, these are things that people, they're a part of who they are, but it's not necessarily right or something people should make an assumption that they know what that person's all about.
Right. And we also have a very diverse group of people. We have an Egyptian population.
Yes.
We have Brazilian, Portuguese, Guatemalan. What else do we have in Milford that are significant numbers?
Well, you've mentioned the ones that are in the most significant numbers. But
Of more recent immigrants?
Yes, Ecuadorians and Egyptians certainly are by far the most recent immigrants. Brazil has fluctuated in the last decade, and a lot of that has to do with the Brazilian economy.
Right.
People do come for job opportunities. That is universal. My sister is.
Something wrong with the mic.
Is there?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it or something. Maybe it's unplugged.
It's unplugged. That may make a difference.
Yeah.
So
we'll
we'll-
start over.
We'll just start over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a 5 count, and we'll just start over.
Is that better?
If you want, we can start from where you were with the conversation.
Okay.
We were
That's
speaking
cool.
about,
That's
Well,
cool.
Yeah, we'll do that. Just give us a 5, and I'll cut it out.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so what are some of the things Welcoming Milford is doing in town?
Well, we've actually, now that we have some traction and we're in our 3rd year, we've sort of seen like each season we sort of have something that captures our attention and we use as a platform to be out there. In the spring, we participate in the Festival of Cultures that's held at the Stacy Middle School. It's organized by math teacher Kurt Shady. He's one of Welcoming Milford committee members, and that is a fabulous opportunity because between like 500 and 600 people attend that. It's usually held in April, and there's dance, music, foods, kids set up booths, and many countries are represented.
Right.
And so that's something that we've done now twice.
I know
a
you've
great
had
time.
floats in the Santa Parade.
Yes, and that our winter activity is the Santa Parade. We actually marched with the Ecuadorian floats and dancers. And then in the summer, there is a festival called Inti-Raymi, which is a sun festival. It's sort of coincides with the summer solstice, and that's an Andean celebration to honor the Earth Mother for the harvest, and that involves, gathering food, dance, talking. That's pretty universal among people. And then in the fall, and actually this show, thank you for having me because the timing couldn't be better. Welcoming Week, which is part of the national effort, is middle of September, and this year it's September 13th through the 21st.
Okay, and what will you be doing during that?
Well, during that week, there will be a lot of activities, going on in different communities. But here in Milford, we actually, over the spring and summer, sponsored a contest, a decal contest, and we have chosen a design for a welcoming window decal. And we're hoping that businesses will.
It says everyone welcome.
Yes, everyone is welcome in different languages. And the artist is a high school student at Milford High School. And we're hoping that businesses, as well as organizations, will choose to have this. It'll be a static link, so they can put it in their window. They can move it if they, have
Okay.
other things that they need to advertise at a given time. But we're hoping that this also sort of, it does become our logo, and that people will be able to recognize this and, get behind the message, which is valuing all peoples and their contributions. We have several languages going on here. So the idea also, because it is a window cling, individuals may opt to have it in their vehicle. That was, but initially our drive, we're hoping our goal as a committee is to reach 100 businesses and organizations. And really,
Are you going out to them, or are you asking them to contact
we
you?
will be doing both. There will be some students from the high school's diversity club, which will be helping us sort of do some actually, door-to-door canvassing of businesses. Even in the downtown area, there are, many. So even in a small radius, and then people have lots of other connections. So.
Okay. If somebody wants to get involved in welcoming Milford, who do they get in touch with?
Well, there's a few ways you can get involved. Sometimes, and I find this, people who are very Milford, actually, there's a lot happening, as you can
Yes.
see from the town crier. It's very rich, lots of things going on, and a lot of people are on committees. So some people may not be able to become a full-fledged member of the committee, but they may want to become a friend of welcoming.
Right.
We have there's a Facebook page. They can visit that. They can like it, show solidarity and support. People are invited to share their ancestry story on the Facebook page if they'd like.
Okay.
And in tandem with the decal, there is a welcoming pledge that people can make, and that's basically just they pledge to support the ideals that people are all have dignity, should be treated with dignity, regardless of where they were born.
Right.
Now, how many members do you have right now?
We have about a dozen solid members. Right now, we meet at the library, so we're sort of the focal point, but we have representatives from various faith communities, Mac Murray from the Episcopal Church, Maddie Stefantis, who's the new pastor at the Unitarian Church. We also have people from HEAL, which is the Health and Education Advocacy for Latinos, which is affiliated with St. Mary's. The hospital foundation is part of our group. We have representatives from Healthcare for All, and also individuals who have chosen to become involved.
Right.
So right now, one of your focuses is membership.
Pardon me?
Membership is one of your focuses to get more people
Yes,
involved,
absolutely.
right? And you have a contact point, which is, if I wanted to get in touch with you and join, what would I do?
The best thing to do would be to go to the Facebook page, and you can leave a message there. You can also contact me at the library.
Okay, so you're at the
And you're in
library.
the reference
Yes.
department.
In the reference
Yes.
For those who
department.
don't
Okay.
know you.
Okay.
Okay.
We meet monthly. This month, actually I should say September, we're meeting a little bit early because of our welcoming week plans, but we're meeting on the 11th. It's an open meeting at 7 p.m. But normally we meet on the third Thursday of each month.
Okay.
If you were to send a message out to everybody right now, what would it be?
I guess I would say everybody came from somewhere, and how we got here is definitely is important to our story, but what we do now, what we do and how we interact together, I think is more important.
So really the goal is to embrace the differences.
Yes,
to embrace the differences,
to recognize them and to embrace them.
embrace the differences.
Yeah.
Well,
At one of our earlier meetings, we had Giancarlo Bontempo, who's a longtime Milfordian of Irish and Italian ancestry, and a historian, local historian, and he spoke about the history of immigration in Milford. So we sort of created this timeline, and it's quite dramatic to see how that's changed over the decades. The industry that used to be here in Milford at the turn of the century, with the granite, boot and shoe industries, straw hat factories, brought a lot of Irish, Italian, Portuguese, although Portuguese had another big wave of immigration in the 1970s.
Right.
And then Armenian immigrants came starting about 1915, and that coincided with the
Turkish incident.
yes, exactly. So, and then in more recent years, Brazilian immigration to Milford really started taking off in the 80s, and it's been fairly constant with some
I would say though
fluctuations.
Milford's immigration in the last 20 years mirrors the rest of the country
Yes.
fairly well.
Absolutely,
More Southern Hemisphere than Western Europe.
yes.
And it's going on everywhere, so.
And I do think, the economy is so all the economies do sort of, hinge on each other, and Europe is also grappling with a lot of the immigration issues. So it's not just a concern for the U.S.
They're getting more Middle East and Eastern Europe coming,
Yes.
and Africa.
The basic needs that that people have are similar. Beyond the basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter, people want to feel safe and secure, and able to sort of if they're people of faith, they want to be able to support to feel free. And as new people come in, it's similar to a neighborhood. Sometimes you might have had a long-term neighbor that you were very close with, and then they move out of the neighborhood, they're downsizing, or they've had another opportunity, and someone new comes in, and there's an adjustment period. And you sort of have a nostalgia for the old neighborhood, but your neighbors have gone, they've moved on, somebody else is here, and
Right.
it would benefit you if everyone to get to know them and see what they're about, and you might be really pleasantly surprised.
Right. And I mean, I think it's a truism. Nothing does stay the same, and people change.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The only constant in the universe is change.
Yes, and taxes.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Taxes.
Well, that's death and taxes and change.
Right.
Any last thoughts, Sam?
I would just like to say that Milford really is what it is because of people who've come and decided to make this home. And the Italian and the Irish and the Portuguese communities, if you look at them specifically and look at their sort of trajectory, I can see in a few years, 10, 15, even 20 years, that the Egyptian and the Ecuadorian communities will be as sort of, I guess, as rooted as the others are now.
Right.
So that's my wish.
Well, I think it'll happen.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks for coming.